What's up, everybody? Luke Zeiler here. Special guest today, Rashawn McKenzie. How you doing, Rashawn?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Very good. So what we'll do today, we'll just dive into your career. You had a pretty extensive career. A lot of different teams in the MLS.
Yeah, a couple different teams in MLS, a couple in NASL.
Yeah.
Bounced around for a little bit.
Yeah, so how long were you in the MLS total?
It was about 8 years in MLS.
Okay.
And then I finished 2 years in NASL.
Okay, so before we jump into the MLS, let's talk about you growing up. What club did you play for?
I played for Sockers FC growing up in Arlington Heights.
Okay, cool. And just Sockers, right?
Yeah, just Sockers, and because I grew up, just Sockers Travel Club. When I was, we moved here from Connecticut, so we jumped into Sockers.
Gotcha.
And it was only them. Yeah.
And we were talking a little bit earlier. You had some national team players playing with you at Sockers.
Yeah, we had Michael Bradley was on our team. A couple other guys. Bajano Sidic was on the team as well.
Gotcha.
Will Johnson for the Canadian national team as well. So yeah, we were pretty blessed at a young age to have so many good players.
So you guys were pretty. How were you guys as a team at Sockers?
Yeah, we were all pretty close knit. A bunch of guys. We were friends off the field too, which was kind of nice. All the families getting together, and then guys started going to different colleges and whatnot. So, but for the most part, we all kind of stuck around and hung out together, which was kind of cool.
Good. When did you start with Sockers?
I started. I think I was about 13 when I started with Sockers.
Okay.
I came over from a smaller kind of like. It wasn't really a bigger club.
Okay.
And then I started with Sockers around 13.
13.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So I think at the time it was Sockers and Magic were like the two rivals in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Were there any other clubs when you were playing that were big time?
There was a pretty good club from around the St. Charles area, I want to say. They were pretty decent, couple players, but as we got older, they kind of came over to either Sockers or Magic. There was a few other teams that were scattered that were pretty decent as well, kind of like Northwest Suburbs or Southwest Suburbs as well. So
yeah. When you were younger, were there any academy teams?
No, we didn't have academy teams. It
Yeah.
was just you had Sockers, Magic, big clubs, and then a few other kind of smaller clubs first scattered around, kind of throughout the area. But yeah, we didn't have academies yet. We weren't that lucky.
Gotcha. Well, I coached a kid for a long time, and he grew up playing with club, and this kid was like really, really good.
Yeah.
And he didn't. His mom didn't want to get him into academy environment right off the bat, which I think there's some pros and cons to club versus academy. Do you have anything to say about that dynamic?
I haven't really had much of the academy experience.
Okay.
I've kind of just seen a little bit more so from the outside and what you kind of read about the academies. But I mean, you see a lot of kids getting chances. They're getting their homegrown contracts, and then you see them progress into the first team and whatnot. So I mean, I can't really say. Like you said, there's pros and cons to everything.
Sure.
But, I can speak for myself and kind of my experience, kind of working through the other aspect of it, and it was a great experience. You have to work a little bit harder, and it takes a little bit more to get recognized. But yeah, I had a great experience, and obviously enjoyed it.
So Sockers must have been doing something right, because a lot, especially your team, you guys went on, and a lot of you guys went and played big time. What was Sockers doing right that a lot of clubs weren't doing at that time?
I think we had a pretty nice setup once you got around to. It was kind of around the high school, junior high. You had the decision whether you wanted to play high school soccer, or what we had was a top talent program.
Okay.
And within the top talent program, there was two teams. There was more of a senior team and the team that was underneath, but you combined all the ages. And what they did was you would train every single day. Everybody, whether you were a senior in high school to maybe 8th grade, freshman in high school, and then on the weekends you're playing in the men's league and the Metro League on the weekends.
Oh,
so,
wow.
I mean, not only are you kind of getting beat up all week long, but then you're playing against grown men on the weekends. So it was just a different aspect, and kind of got you ready for playing against better teams or teams that were bigger and stronger than you.
Sure.
So sort of that sort of thing. So it was definitely different aspect.
So you didn't play high school soccer?
No
and
high school.
And none of these kids did.
Not some kids did and some kids didn't. But myself, I never played any high school sports.
Gotcha. Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's a big debate by parents these days as well, because they, you got high school soccer, you got club soccer, you got these academies now, and they're left with questions like, where do I put my kid?
Yeah.
What direction should we go?
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of like when I speak to younger kids on it, you got to just find the right fit for yourself, what
Right.
works for you, whether it's coaching, the players around you that you surround yourself with, or I think it's just whatever is going to make you succeed is what you should actually look forward and look to try and do. Don't try to follow what others are just doing just because.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you're playing in the Metro League since 8th grade, probably.
Yeah.
That's got to be tough. As
Yeah,
an eighth grader.
it was, it had its ups and downs. You get beat up, definitely, but our coaches definitely prepared us for it. I mean, we had a David Richardson who was, professional for himself when he was playing, and then also Brett Hull, a couple other coaches who were all professionals that used to play for the Sting and a couple other teams back in the day.
Wow.
And, they were tough on us, but at the same time, they kind of explained to us, this is the kind of, you need that tough skin
Right.
when you're playing against men, because they really don't care. And they'll kick you if you beat them, they're just going to kick you. So
You know what? I think that's one of the pros in playing that type of soccer and in that atmosphere compared to high school soccer. Developing that thick skin, if you will. I think I don't think you see that in a lot of high school environments. Would you agree?
yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I mean, I can tell you countless times playing indoor soccer where we would play up a couple of years, so we're playing against high school kids, and we were better than them, but they were bigger and stronger. So you got to play a little bit smarter. You can't just
You have to adapt.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Very good. So you go from soccer's, now you're going. You played at Michigan State.
Michigan State, yes.
Michigan State. So tell me about the recruitment process. Were there other schools interested?
Yeah, so I had a couple of schools interested. I actually for my junior and senior year, I played up a year, so I didn't play with my normal soccer team. I ended up playing up a year. My age, I was in '86, so I was actually playing with a lot of '87s. So when I got to high school, I was a year older than everybody that was on my club team.
I see.
So I had to end up going to and playing up a level for our club team. So I would go to a lot of the college showcases and all that, and that's how I met the Michigan State coaches.
So you were getting exposure early?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I was probably like a season ahead of everybody else.
I see.
I was starting to go to those, like I said, the college showcases, and that's how I met the Michigan State coach at the time, Joe Baum, and his assistant Damon, who's now the head coach at Michigan State.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so they met you and were like, we want you.
Yeah, I got a couple recruiting letters from them and other schools within the Midwest and East Coast, a couple West Coast schools, not too many. I didn't really know so much; it's so far away. But yeah, and then I believe I went to one of their summer camps, did an official, unofficial visit, all that sort of stuff, and I just had a really good experience when I went up there. And for me, it was far enough away from home for freedom, but at the same time, close enough
to visit.
where I could just go home whenever.
Good for you.
So yeah, that really worked for me, and it just felt like a family going up there. So that was like a lot of the guys too. I mean, we have a fantasy football league going on right now from a lot
Keep
of
in
guys at
touch
Michigan
with
State.
all
we
those
all
guys.
keep in touch for
Wow.
I think our alumni weekends and 2 weekends. So yeah, it felt like the right thing. Like I said, all about the fit.
Right. Right.
And-
Tasting it,
Yeah.
tasting different things, and figuring out what works for you.
Yeah, I think I can still remember coming back from my official visit and just my mom was like, "How was it?" And I could just remember telling her that's where I want to go.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
yeah. So,
So how many schools total did you like really taste?
Notre Dame was a big one.
Okay.
Michigan State, Michigan, Northwestern. There was a couple other ones on the East Coast that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay.
But yeah, those were the big ones. A lot of Big Ten.
So
kinda-
4 or 5 schools tasted on. Michigan State was the one.
Yeah, Michigan State was the one for me.
That's cool. So how was your experience there? Like, tell me. About
Yeah, it was great. Like I said, family environment. It was really cool, close knit group. Big school, so that was kind of cool. Big other programs, football, basketball, so that kind of whole college experience.
Sure.
And then we had our ups and downs in soccer. My freshman year, we won the Big Ten. So that was,
Walking into college.
Yeah, walking into
sports
college,
and
kind of
winning the
just
Big Ten.
huge high, and
Wow.
that was the first. So that's fall.
Oh my
So
God.
that was within the first semester of college, and then the next 2 years we went to the NCAAs. I think we ended up losing to Tulsa in the second round. They had a really good team. Second, in the sophomore, junior year, kind of had our lows. We lost a couple really good players, senior players, so we were kind of trying to find ourselves again. And then senior year, we had a really good team. A couple of young guys that stepped up, older mix as well. And then it was kind of like Joe Baum, our head coach, was kind of winding down his career too, so you kind of had that going on. And then the soccer program was kind of just on the up in general. So we finished pretty strong. Knocked out with the Big Ten, ended up going a couple rounds into the NCAAs, but I think that kind of started now what you kind of like, my friends, we all talk about it now. Like, we started the whole Michigan State kind of soccer.
Absolutely.
So it's
That's what I was
that
going to say.
whole kind of like
you guys kind
couple
of built
years
the program there a little
before us, and then we kind of like really kicked it off, and now they're flying. Every year they're in the NCAAs and competing for the Big Ten, which is great to see. All of us are real proud of those guys. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you spent almost 8 years in the MLS.
8 years in the MLS. Yeah, I went.
So when you were at Michigan State, did you know you were going to be going to the MLS? Like, what was your mindset towards the end of senior year?
I was just having fun.
Yeah.
I was out there with my friends, enjoying playing for the school. It was just a great experience. It didn't really kick in, I think, till about early senior year season, or kind of like halfway through the season, that it could really be an opportunity, because we were having a good year too. And that's a big thing too. To get noticed, you got to
have the right team
and have the right team that's winning games. So we were doing well, decent in the Big Ten. So I think maybe I piqued the interest of some of the coaches or GMs, and I got invited to the combine at the end of the season.
Okay.
And I did well enough to get drafted in the draft. So.
Oh my gosh.
And then from there, it was just kind of trying to make the team and just keep performing and doing what they're asking.
Right. So I know your rookie year was with Kansas City.
Yeah, Kansas City. Yeah.
You played with the Chicago Fire PDL for a bit. Was that like summer league during college?
Yeah.
Or when was that?
I did it. So actually, my junior spring, I had meniscus. So I had meniscus surgery. So it was kind of so I could stay kind of home, close to home. I was here with my parents in Chicago, and then still I knew a lot of the guys just from growing up that played for the Chicago Fire PDL juniors.
Right.
And the coach at the time was Larry Sunderland too. So I had known him from just being around Chicago soccer area, Chicago soccer scene. So, he let me kind of come, and I wouldn't say I was playing full per se, but it was kind of like getting back out there before college started up again, so it was good experience for me to kind of even see, like, because that was kind of actually really when the academy stuff kind of started.
Gotcha.
It started with like the U23s, and then they started with the academy stuff, like full on. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very good. So Kansas City, how was that experience?
Kansas City was great. They were great. It was back when they were the Wizards, so that was cool. We had some cool kits and all that. And it was cool to kind of see the rebranding process before it actually happened. Because I left Kansas City right before they changed stadiums and all that.
Gotcha.
But it was cool to see like the ownership group and the whole city kind of involved in what was going on, and it just the excitement leading up to it, and then now to see how well they've done from that point.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you started Kansas City. Walk me through these 7 years.
Yeah. So.
Well, let me ask you this: you're jumping around all these teams, right? And how do you mentally stay? How do you mentally handle new situation after new situation after new situation?
Yeah, it's tough. I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't a grind.
Right.
Especially sometimes you're getting let go from some of these teams thinking, man, I definitely thought I was doing well there.
Yeah.
And, for other reason, it's just not a good fit. But every time, you're sitting there and you're like, this is what I love to do. So, you know, if I got to grind a little bit harder or work a little bit harder to perfect what it is what I do to be on one of these teams, then you're gonna go do it. So a lot of the times, you know, like with Kansas City, I got released. I think it was right into the beginning of my third preseason.
Okay.
So I had enough time to come back here and really kind of train some more. Which was a good thing. A lot of there was a program, Bridges. They used. I don't know if they still do it.
I think they do.
They do.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys in the area would come back, and it was over at the soccer facility. They have indoor fields, so it was just a place for professionals to come back in the area and get a good workout in for 2-3 hours in the morning.
Right.
And then you got kind of became a thing where you had the Bridges kids, and then college kids started coming, and it ended up being where like a lot of the professional fire guys would come through, or even you get like Mike McGee's from the area, so he comes from LA, he's home for a week and would come train, you know.
Yeah.
So it became a thing where you get really good competition.
So out of nowhere, you have all this competitiveness.
Absolutely.
Right there.
Right there. And I mean, my parents, I would come back and obviously and stay at my parents, and they're 15 minutes from there. So, you know, that's like, all right, wake up, walk the dogs, let's go train for 3 hours, you know?
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's how I think I got better. It was just every off season, it was just nonstop for me.
Gotcha.
I just
so you never really turned off.
I never really took. I couldn't.
Yeah.
And that was just how it worked for me, because I knew there was some seasons where, you know, you go on vacation and you do. I mean, I'm not saying you can't shut off and don't take a break, but where you kind of completely shut off. Yeah. And then it's like, oh man, preseason comes around and you're behind the ball.
Yeah.
I knew personally for myself I couldn't let that happen.
Right.
Because then it's like, oh my, then I'm fighting for my contract, and then you know, you don't want that.
Right.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. So it was just a really good thing that we had here. I mean, and they're still doing it. So
yeah, it's a good place to be if you're in that realm.
Absolutely.
So you get let go from Kansas City. Yeah. Are other organizations kind of talking to you a little
so it was. I mean, it couldn't have been more than a week. I was back training and got a call from an agent, and Salt Lake wants you to come out. And they hadn't started their preseason yet because they started late because they had won MLS Cup the year before. So I flew out to Salt Lake, and
you're probably like, hell yeah, they just won the MLS Cup.
Going into a good situation, you know, good coaching staff, Jason Price, all those guys, GM Garth Lagerway at the time, and it was just a good environment. Kyle Beckham was a great captain. It was another one of those family type deals. It just felt like a really good fit, you know?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, going in, I had a familiar face. Chris Schuler from the Chicago area, that was his rookie season, and he got drafted there. So I kind of walked into a situation where I knew someone, and, you know, they were wanting me to come there. So, you know.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it was a no-brainer for me to go and, you know, kind of try it out. Yeah. Had a couple years there. It was really good, you know. Ended up leaving after 2 years there and going to our time. At the time, it was our assistant coach. He was our head coach. Robin Fraser got the job at Chivas. So I went to Chivas USA at the time before all of their whole thing happened. But and, you know, played there for a year under Robin Fraser. And that was when I actually played a lot.
Yeah.
Had 20-some games. We were actually doing pretty well. Fizzled it off towards the end of the season, but had a lot of games, and that was when I always like to tell. Well, that was when Beckham was in the Galaxy, so I used to see him every day. So that was kind of cool to get to see David Beckham every day, you know. So he's a big, huge global star, but nicest guy in the world. Says hi to everyone every morning. You would never know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you must be feeling at this point like I'm gaining some traction here in the MLS. I'm putting my foot, you know, getting a foothold in all this stuff. How does it transition from there? Where does it go from there?
So from there, I was in LA. There was kind of like issue with the whole Chivas USA. Chivas kind of taking over, and then I was kind of out of the team for 3 months or so. So I was kind of just hanging out in LA for a little bit. I just got married at the time, so I was kind of enjoying that, you know, relaxing, enjoying the beach, the LA weather. I had some college friends that lived out there too, so it was good to have like kind of close family there too as well.
Gotcha.
But then I got a call from Portland, Caleb Porter. They wanted me to come work out with them, so I went for, I think the first time I went was for 3-4 days, get a good workout in, and then they wanted wanted me to go back, work out some more. Ended up going back to Portland for another week, and then I signed there.
Gotcha.
And then I was there for like 2 years.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And Portland was something else. Yeah, great experience up there.
So Portland, how old is Portland Timbers when you joined them?
So I would believe, so I went to Portland in 2015. 3 or 4 years.
So
maybe
relatively
new. I mean, they have a history up there with their, when they were in the NASL and all that. So I mean,
they drew
just
fan
rich
base.
soccer. So they had the fan base. It was just
gotcha.
waiting to get to that top tier.
Gotcha.
And I mean, I can't. And even now, I get the chills just when I watch the TV crowd. And, Soccer City up there.
That's
so,
sick.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I really enjoyed my time there. Great team, great fan base, great people, great organization. Yeah.
So this is your 6th or 7th year in the MLS, and you're playing Olympia in the
Olympia
in the Champions
in the
League,
Champions League at home, corner kick, scored a header. Yeah.
and you scored the header really to put the nail in the coffin for that game there, because you guys were up 3-2 at the time.
3-2. Yeah, we ended up winning 4-2.
Okay, tell me about that moment.
Yeah,
Walk me through that.
It was just good. I mean, we got up early in that game, I believe, and they kind of came back, got some energy in the second half, and it was one of those where you knew it was going to be a fight if they could squeeze one more. So we just had a corner kick. I think there was maybe like 15 minutes left or so, and it was one of those where you could kind of you saw where it was going, and I just kind of climbed and tried to head it back to the far post where it came from, put it right in the corner.
There you go.
So it was great. Defenders, we don't get to score too often, so it was pretty exciting. It was a big game too for us in Champions League. It's a big tournament, so
That's so awesome.
yeah. So and I've had I played in a bunch of games in Champions League too, as well with Salt Lake, and did some with Portland as well. So
Gotcha.
yeah, it's just great experience.
That's quite a career.
Yeah, I can't complain, man.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's got to be amazing.
Yeah.
But, well, let me ask you this, and I'm going to go back to a point that I was trying to make with handling new situations. And for you experienced these different MLS teams, and what advice would you give to kids on how to handle new situations?
Yeah.
How to handle new teams, new environments, if you will? Because I think that's important.
Yeah.
To be able to handle it comfortably, not get intimidated, and be able to perform well.
Yeah, I think it's very important to be able to control the ups and downs, and be able to just focus on what you can control. I think a lot of times we get tied up in all the excess stuff and lose sight of what really matters. As far as dealing with new situations, you just kind of sometimes you got to roll with them and have confidence and belief in yourself that you're there for a reason, and you wouldn't be there if people didn't believe in you or thought you didn't have the ability to be in that situation. So I think it's as well as you just have to like I said, just be confident. You're there for a reason.
So let me ask you this: for the young kids that are out there that may be struggling with confidence, how did you handle confidence growing up? Let's say through Sockers. How did you develop confidence?
And I think that's actually a great question, because I was never one of the best players at Sockers. 4 or 5 other guys. I was an average player there, and I think for me, I saw the opportunities that they were getting, and I wanted to be involved in the same thing. I saw them go make the state team and do, at the time it was ODP.
Right.
So I saw them do state and regionals and get to go to all these places. Oh, well, I want to do that. So I go and I enroll. Okay, well, maybe I didn't make the state team the first time, so what do I have to do to make that state team? So outside of your normal trainings, what are you doing outside of that? So that what it was for me was, okay, maybe in the backyard after I finished my homework for 45 minutes, I'm practicing juggling or dribbling or whatever it is.
Right.
So that's what it was for me. So then it progressed to, hey, now I made the state team, regional teams next.
Right.
And then so on and so forth.
So that brings me to my next point: handling setbacks.
Yeah.
I think a lot of kids either get cut from a team or something like this, and they get really wrapped up in they get down. You know, they get emotional. How are you able to handle some of those setbacks?
Yeah, I was cut from plenty of teams, you know. So, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it to get down. It's just you can't hold on to that down feeling.
Eventually, got to let it go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think, I can tell you there's time I got caught in Salt Lake, and I remember calling my parents and just being like crying on the phone, driving back to my apartment, being like, man, I can't believe I didn't even see that coming, you know? But then after that, it was like, okay, maybe I sulked for the day or whatever, but then it was like, all right, what are we doing to get back into the scene or onto the next team?
Right.
And
so
you have to have
it's that bounce
mentality,
back.
that bounce back of, I can't let this hold me down because I'm not going to let this define me.
Right.
You know, so
I think that's key.
Yeah. So I think, if you can do that and kind of hone that, I guess, skill per se, anything's possible.
Gotcha. So let me ask you this: you play with 7 different teams. That's pretty unique, right? Not a lot of guys get to do that. First of all, right? What attributes about the team like really stood out or makes a team a good team?
Yeah.
For you. For me, it was like positivity.
Yeah.
If you're in a positive environment, that was for me in my experience through soccer. Like that was number one. You know, I don't know.
Honestly, I couldn't agree more.
Okay.
I think. It's very close. My 2 favorite teams was Portland and Salt Lake.
Okay.
But I think just in terms of a team, Salt Lake, it just, like I said, goes back to that family feel and the positivity that's around the whole group. I can remember there'd be times where family barbecues or whatever, and it was just random. It's like, oh, what are you guys doing this Thursday? Okay, send out a message to everybody, and literally the whole team's there, you know. Or even the coaching staff would do stuff where, okay, let's have a get together, and we have a weekend off, and okay, no one go anywhere. We're gonna have a team dinner. The coaches pay for everything, and then be like, okay, well, glad everyone have a night. Like, make sure everyone gets home safely. Oh, okay, well, if we need to pay for taxis or whatever, it's cool. Like it's just
everyone's got each
everyone's, you know what I mean?
It's togetherness.
And it's just that feeling of someone having your back. That, okay, well, now when you step on the field, it could be the 90-something minute, and if I need to run 60 yards for that guy to cover for him,
you gotta do it.
You just know. Yeah. You don't even think about it. You just do it.
Yeah. I think that's one of the best parts about soccer and sports in general is that camaraderie, the teamwork, and getting hit with adversity and battling through that stuff as a team. I think that's one of the biggest parts about it.
It's really cool. It's really cool when you think about it. Yeah.
So what advice do you got for parents these days? As kids are growing up, it's kind of a different environment. Back compared to back when you were a kid.
I can always. It's hard now because I'm a parent now too. So
my
daughter's not really in sports like that yet. I think she just started gymnastics, so she's not there. But it's funny because I always remember just thinking about my parents. Like my mom was always the quiet one, and my dad was the one that was like, "Come on the sideline," and then I'm the one on the field where it's like, "Come on, Dad, like let me do my thing," you know. But what I always remembered was just my parents just being so supportive.
Gotcha.
You know, they could make
and not too involved,
but there, knowing that we care,
right?
But at the same time, they weren't so hands on.
Right.
They had their suggestions, but they knew when to back off when I didn't want to listen to it.
Which I think is a big problem these days with parents. I think you got a lot of parents that are trying to take over the experience, and they don't have that governor to back off a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's. We all deal with it. It's like a control thing almost. You want your kids to have that perfect experience and such an enjoyable experience, and it be so positive. And it goes back to that, like, we can't control everything. So it's focusing on what you can control, and then letting everything else happen as is, And I think if you do, like you said, that positive attitude, everything else should take care of itself.
Follow through.
Yeah.
Well, Rashawn, dude, thanks for coming out.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
is awesome.
It's been a pleasure, man.
Absolutely,
Thanks for having me.
Have a good one.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.